A warm welcome to everyone watching this interview. This is Harisha, and here with me is Vibhushita, the members of Gindi Times, the official magazine and media body of three campuses CEG, SAP, and AC Tech.
Today, on August 19, we are celebrating World Photography Day, marking 182 years since the invention of daguerreotype, a photographic process developed by Louis Daguerre. And to make this day much more special, we have here with us one of the most talented and successful photographers, Anita Kamaraj ma'am, a Chennai-based food, portrait, and fashion photographer who pursued a formal education in mechanical engineering and journalism. She has shot for over 60 restaurants in Chennai and has worked with various celebrities like Danshika, Ritika Singh, Nakshatra Nagesh, and many others. She's been featured in Kripa Wright's blog, Daily Tanti newspaper, and Tori magazine. And we're honored to have her here today. Thank you for giving us this opportunity, ma'am.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure, ma'am. So now we'd go with the first question. I'd like to know how this passion for photography started and how did this passion evolve into your profession now?
So I like photography since I was a kid, when we go out for, with families and all, vacations and all. So I usually take pictures using Polaroid cameras. So I had interest back then, but when I was doing my engineering, I went through a rough patch, and I decided so I needed something to distract me. So then I slowly started photography. I mean, trying it out every weekend, and then I realized it kept me away from all the distraction, pain, and everything. So I started enjoying it. I mean, I could relate to it more than anything. So from there, I think the whole graph started.
Okay, ma'am. Good to know. Is there any photographer who inspired you to keep going despite, as you said, the hardships you have been facing?
So there are a lot of photographers who inspired me. As in, every photographer I look up to, most of them are my friends. So there's this one particular photographer. He's called Srivatsan Shankaran. He's deaf, but he does an amazing travel photography. So every time I feel low, I think about him and his work, and I, it motivates me. Like, if he can do so much, then I can do more. I can do something too. So he's the main person I look up to, and there are my other friends also.
Okay, ma'am, that was wonderful. Now, what keeps you motivated daily? Like, and what's the most rewarding part of your job? Like, why do you feel photography so special to you?
Okay, so assume you finish a shoot and you're coming back home, and then you come home and see all those pictures, and you sit and think that your brain created those images, your brain visualized it. So sometimes you'll feel too proud of yourself, and there are days like you do a really bad job, and you think, why pay? Like, this is not going to go anywhere. But when people come up to you and tell you that, Anita, working with you was a pleasant experience, and I've never seen myself this way, and that's the moment that clicks for me. That ticks every box for me.
So
that's the moment.
It was so beautiful, ma'am. It was fascinating to know. Now, could you say what made you interested in food, fashion, and portrait photography specifically?
So when I started out, the only easily accessible genre was fashion and portrait. It's because if you have a few good-looking friends who are good enough to model and who are photogenic, if they could pose for me, that will become a beautiful portrait, right? So every weekend during my college days and during my PG days, I started, shooting them, and I started clicking Facebook display pictures for everybody. So that's how it started. So at a point when I realized that every third or fourth photographer is a portrait photographer. And in order for you to stand out in something, you have to do something different. And at that point of time, the food photography market in Chennai was not that much matured. So I thought, why not give a try? And I collaborated with a restaurant, and I told them, like, you can use my pictures like forever, however you want. And I'll be using the pictures for my portfolio. And that's how it started. Then I thought the first shoot was very satisfying for me. I was not nervous. I was very happy with the output. So then I thought, this is my calling. Then I started doing food regularly.
Okay, ma'am, that was so good to know. Now, speaking of food photography, could you say us a bit about what goes behind these screens, the setup and all?
Yeah, sure. So, food photography needs a lot of planning. Assuming I want to shoot a product, let's assume I have to shoot a sandwich. Okay, so I have to plan at least 3 to 4 days before for the whole setup. I have to create a mood board. I have to source all the props needed for the photo, and at in the spot, assuming there's going to be a chicken, a chicken patty kept, and if it's not looking very appetizing enough, then you have to make something. You have to fake it to make it look good. So those kind of planning and all, we have to already sit and plan and all that. So for the glistening look, we use deodorant sprays. So we have to plan everything accordingly. So the mood board is the most important part for a food photograph. So 3 to 4 days, or for some shoots we have to plan like 2-3 weeks ahead to source a prop and all that.
Ma'am, this is so amazing to know. We didn't know much about the food photography, what happens behind. So it was so wonderful to know about it.
Food photography is fun. It's fun.
What's your take on post-processing? How do you think it complements your pictures?
Okay, so honestly speaking, I don't post-process much because see, post-processing, manipulation are two different things. Color correction is basic. That is, you have to give the live color to every picture that you shoot. That is basic color correction. But there's the next level called manipulation. Like you retouch the skin too much. You make a cloud come into the picture. You make a crow come into the picture. It's all different. So the manipulation is not my thing. I think post processing should be mild. See, the art of photography is what you see. It's your vision. It's not the camera, right? So whenever you shoot something, you have to actually achieve whatever you're planning for on the spot. Not usually during the post. But I understand manipulation is also important, but it's just not my style.
That's so true.
Yeah.
How do you think pandemic affected your business, ma'am?
So what I realized from the pandemic is that like after every lockdown, there's a small boom in the business. As in, every brand has to come live. Every brand, they want to generate content and to promote their whole product or food or whatever. So like during the pandemic, during the lockdown, it's still, and right after the lockdown, there's a boom. So I thought we were going to take a major hit, but it's not as much as I imagined.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Apart from photo shoots, you've also had experience with filmmaking. Could you share some of the most interesting memories from that and how diverse it was from photo shoots?
So I've not seen major full feature films and all. I've seen making of short films. So I'm not a very videographer, but for me, what is important is the framing. So assuming I'm going to take a picture of you, but I have to record a video also. So I'll set the frame accordingly. I'll set the frame for a picture and record it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's how I work with videos. But videos are even more beautiful because the movements, the actions, the light and all, you can actually see it in live, not in photos. Yeah. So videos are beautiful that way.
That's so fascinating to know, ma'am. And capturing emotions in photographs is one of the most crucial parts. Could you give us some tips for portrait photography?
Okay, so whenever you're shooting somebody, it's really important that you make them feel very comfortable. Okay, if they're nervous, you'll also get nervous and the whole scene gets nervous. So you have to make your model or the person on that side of the camera very comfortable. So just to get their angles, understand, play some songs that they like and all that, something like that. So it's important to bring out their best selves. They need to be very comfortable. So that's the basic criteria. So once you get into that zone, and you can pull it off.
That's so amazing, ma'am. I'm sure that many aspiring photographers would have really got inspired by this.
No, it's just really like many people don't know. They think the frame makes the whole thing, but it's not. It's not. The beauty doesn't lie in the features or anything. It's basically the smile. So all you have to do is make them comfortable.
It's amazing, ma'am.
To hobbyist photographers like us, it was something very new to know. It was good, ma'am. So it was definitely inspiring. Now, what are some of the most common mistakes that could be avoided by aspiring photographers, ma'am?
Okay, are you asking in terms of technicality or just in
In
general?
general, ma'am, yeah. Technical
so
as well as general, yes, ma'am.
general, okay. So what, as far as I have seen, like many people think you definitely need this gadget to attain this photo. It's not true. Like if you have a basic decent gadget, if you have a really good vision, and if you can bring your vision alive through that, that's more than enough. And you don't have to spend lakhs and lakhs immediately. Like try to understand what you want to do there first, okay, and then like slowly practice, and then go for the gears. Whenever you can invest, you can go for it. Like don't empty your pocket immediately, and don't blame that, saying that I don't have this lens, I can't take this picture, I don't have this camera, I can't take this picture. That's not the truth. That's the main thing people have to avoid. And some people think like if you approach a model for a photo shoot and the minute they reject, you shouldn't get demotivated. I mean, people are entitled to say no, right? So just keep trying, and don't just say only if I work with this person I can go further. It's not like that. Just people need to be consistent. It's like learning. Photography is something you learn every day. You keep your brain updated, you keep up with the trend. So these are all the important facts that you should keep in mind.
Okay, ma'am, thank you. The gear thing was so relatable to us too. So thank you for that. And finally, what is your advice for photographers who would want to turn this passion of theirs into something professional?
Okay, my only and main advice would be try to stay consistent. It's really difficult to stay consistent, okay, because it's not you watch a YouTube video and you think you learn it. It's not like that. You have to apply it before doing a big shoot. You have to like practice it 100 times before. So it takes a lot of patience and practice. So that particular that particular phase people forget. They want to become a really good photographer overnight. You can't do that. That's the main thing. Stay consistent.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you for that. I'm sure there are many who are watching this video who would have been inspired to even give their passion something into a professional touch. So thank you. It must have been extremely helpful to everyone out there. Thank you for this interview. On a final note, could you give us feedback of the interview?
No, I really think you guys have done your homework. I mean, when you gave me the introduction, I was like shocked. Okay, nice. They've done a pretty good homework, and that's really important when you talk to somebody, when you go for an interview. So I'm really touched by that. So that's a very good effort. Good job.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing for me too.
It was great talking to you, ma'am. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity for us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.